Hi friends, I am Vinod Shankaran. The topic which we are going to discuss is human error prevention. Now, before going into the subject, let us see where this is useful. We have seen that in all manufacturing industries, whether it is automobile or electronics or food industry, for that matter, any manufacturing industry, we are employing a lot of laborers who are either unskilled or semi-skilled, and we are employing them to do a very costly machines. And many times we have seen that because of a small error done by a person can make the whole lot rejected, which is very costly to the company. Or sometimes it escapes to the customer, and the customer is rejecting, which is not only it is damaging the reputation of the company. We are incurring a lot of loss because of that. Now, this video which we are going to discuss is about human error prevention, and this will see that how we can facilitate workmen to do a error-free operations, or rather a paradigm shift, improve human beings to fit the operation to improve the operation to fit the human beings. Before going to error proofing principle, we will just look into there are some common misunderstanding in the industry. The first one is attentiveness can prevent errors. The study says that a normal with a person clear and active conscious state can only operate with minimum error of around 0.0001%. But is it practically possible for 8 hour shift? That we have to look into. The second one is that education or training can prevent errors. It has been observed that and well-trained and disciplined workmen's effectiveness for error-free work is only 60%. So what about remaining 40%? That we have to see. There is one more misunderstanding in the industry is that multi-fold inspection can prevent errors. The more the stages you add, like first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, fifth stage, the more the stages you add, lesser will be the effect. This is a practical study says, though apparently it seems very effective. Now we will go into error proofing principles. Now error proofing is mainly classified into two. One is that uh, prevention of occurrence. The second one is that minimization of effect. Now, if you see further, that prevention of occurrence is further classified into elimination, replacement, facilitation, and the minimization of effect is classified into detection and mitigation. Now, if you see, this is further divided into task elimination and risk elimination. The replacement is divided into two, automation and support system. The facilitation, you are seeing that simplification, distinction, adjustment, and detection. Record and verify motion, restrict motion, verify results. And the last mitigation, redundancy, fail safe, and protected. Now we will go into each and every element as we discussed here, and we'll see with the example how this is useful and how we can use it so that we can have a minimum human error in our day-to-day life. So coming to first principle, which is elimination, in that we have discussed task elimination and risk elimination. And now we are coming to the task elimination. The requirement is that remove work susceptible to human error from the process. Now I have given two examples here. One is that in a car, ambient light sensor to turn outside lighting on and off. So here what we are doing is that The light sensor is being used to sense the ambient light, and according to that, it will be switch on or switch off. So here, that human dependency we are eliminating. Now, this the second case is also very interesting one. Here, if you see that there is a baton. Now, this baton, if you know keep it, it dislocates its position. What will happen? It will topple. So it's highly dependent on human how they are keeping the baton properly. Now, from here, we are switching over to non-human dependent. That is, there is a nylon belt. This nylon belt, if you place the load on the nylon belt, it will parallelly, I mean, it will uniformly, it will be distributed the load. So this is totally a design change, um, from the current design to switch over to a new design. The second principle in elimination is that risk elimination. And now, if you see that, I have given two examples here. One is that touching high temperature pipe and getting burned can be eliminated by covering with the insulated. Correct? Okay. The second one is that it is a press, and there are two sensors, safety sensors are given here. Uh, if you somebody is putting the hand in between, then the machine will be switched off automatically. So it is a safety sensor. So it is protecting from a human injury, a finger injury or a hand injury. So this is another example in risk elimination. Now we have to see that limitations. There are see this is in this task elimination and risk elimination. One limitation is that elimination solution can have a great side effect on cost, productivity, and performance. So this side effect, when we are using these particular error principles, we have to take. Now coming to the second error proofing principle, which is a replacement. Here we have told there are two things. One is automation. The other one is support system. So I have given two examples here. Use automation to replace completely a particular human operations with the machine. So you have to replace wherever human was doing manually, that has to be replaced with the automation. Now I have given two examples. One is that misreading a work order sheet and installing a wrong part in a subassembly. Okay, now this can be error proofed with automation, where sense the shape of the subassembly product mechanically or electrically, and to light lamps on appropriate box. Similarly, there is one more example, that is manual printout of stickers. This can be replaced with the auto level sensor. So photo is given here. The second in the replacement is support system. Now, what is the requirement is give support tools like a checklist, reminders, guides, or samples to help human beings to perform the operations more reliably. So, one example here is that forget to do a particular operation. Now, you can support the human with by using a table showing sequence and contents. So every time he doesn't have to memorize them. So this is the advantage of replacement. Now we will come to the next error proofing principle, which is facilitation. Now makes operation very easier for the workers to perform. Now it is also we have seen that it has got three subdivisions. One is that simplification, the second one is that distinction, and the third one is that adjustment. Now simplification. What you have to do in this, that you have to, if possible, decrease the number of changes or differences. Now I have given one example here is that the error is that selecting a wrong part. Now the error proofing is that make a mark on each part box consistent with a corresponding mark on the work order sheet, so that you can compare both. So this is one way of minimizing the error. So this is what is simplification. Now coming to the second principle in facilitation, which is distinction. Distinguish the changes or differences from the each other. So you can give either a color coding, or you can assemble the similar looking parts at a different workstation. So I have given a small example here. This is there are three connectors which is looking similar but having different color. So what is is corresponding crystal is given here. So we have given respective color red, black, and white, so that person cannot interchange, because the color is distinguished very clearly. Similar to that, if you are the similar looking parts, if you are assembling at different workstation, then that way also you can minimize the errors. So the next in the facilitation is the adjustment. So here, if you are a work order sheet having a the font size is very less, so it is difficult for operator to read that worksheet. So you increase the font size, which is more easy for the operators to read the worksheet. This is another. Now we are switching over to detection part of error proofing principle. Now it is abnormality in motion can be detected. Can be detected in two ways. One is negative, record and verify motion, and record abnormality. One example I have given here is a light or alarm warning while error occurs. And the next one is that positive. Restrict the motion to let person notice abnormality. One example is that if you are putting a pen drive, it will allow only one direction in the port. The opposite direction it is not allowed. So that way the abnormality can be detected. So coming to the next error proofing principle in detection, which is mitigation. Mitigate the effects of the error by incorporating functional redundancies. So here what we are doing is that even though an error happens, it is mitigating its effects, or it is minimizing the effects. One example I have given here is that stepney of a car. Even though the tire get punctured, you can always have a stepney here. So this can minimize the damage. Next is that unsafe state. Now here incorporate shock absorbing material. So one example I have given here is that fuse. If the even though a short circuit happens because of some mistake, the fuse will get blown off. So this is another. It will be safe in a circuit. The next one is that protector. Sharp edges, etc., can be avoided or eliminated by using a rubber sheets to avoid cable scratches. So, with this, all the error proofing principles are over, both prevention as well as. So, friends, hope that you all enjoyed the video I presented. If you have any queries, please contact me in the mail ID given as below. Vinod S 2014 0504 at gmail.com.